Last week we released a video here on MMADive that involved me making picks over who each divisional champion would be 365 days from now. And while I enjoyed making those predictions quite a bit, I felt as though I kind of played it overly safe in regards to my thoughts on the light heavyweight title picture, because 205 pounds is perhaps the most uncertain of all the UFC's divisions at present. Its champion Jan Blachowicz, while no doubt a superb talent, rose to the top of the pile in the wake of the longtime King Jon Jones' decision to vacate the belt. Now, like all title vacations and brief stints of semi-retirement, the actions of Jones should be considered with his overall ulterior motive in mind. Indeed, he says that a move to heavyweight is what he desires, but given his recent struggles at the negotiational table with the UFC, I could very well imagine a major change in his plans as we move into 2021. But before we dive into the various permutations that surround Jon's next move, let's look at what is concrete at 205 pounds right now. Blachowicz is the champion, perhaps not completely undisputed as of right now, but overall, given his impressive stoppage victory over the highly touted Dominic Reyes, there are no doubts over who the best light heavyweight fighter on the planet not named Jon Jones is. His rise to the top of the pile was one that virtually nobody saw coming. Though a veteran of the UFC with 6 years worth of fights to his name, when Blachowicz finally managed to find his form, he still was considered to be an underdog in the majority of his matchups at the highest level. And while many had picked him to eventually fail, time and time again he proved himself to be of that elite category. I'm a big fan of career trajectories that end up taking a turn like that. It reminds us all that form is only temporary, and while it may not seem possible all the time, even the most seemingly settled athletes in this game can figure out that final crucial piece to the puzzle and go on a run like Jan did. If I may call this video to a halt for a moment, to anyone who's been watching our content over the last few weeks, you'll know the drill, but we're really trying to up our game here at MMADive in order to bring you even more content every week. So if you're really enjoying what we're doing so far, be sure to leave a comment and a like to let YouTube's algorithms know that we're fast becoming one of the best MMA channels on the platform. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so now to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Okay, back to the video. Surrounding Blachowicz right now are some pretty interesting prospects. You've got promising talents like Alexander Rakic and Jiri Prochazka who look as though they're just a few minor tweaks away from becoming legitimate title threats. And then you have guys like Magomed Ankalaev, Jimmy Crute and Jamal Hill who could well make a splash in 2021. There's then known quantities like Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith and Dominic Reyes, who will certainly factor into that top 8 in one way or another. But then comes the rightful #1 contender in the division, Glover Teixeira. Now he's certainly not the most Hollywood pick for the first defense of Jan Blachowicz's crown, but there's something remarkable about the fact that he's singled himself out amongst the pack. At 41 years old, time is well and truly working against him, but after watching him make this run through his fellow 205-pound contenders, there is the sense that this Brazilian veteran is finally finding the form necessary to see him make an almighty late career surge. But unfortunately, I just don't think he's going to get that title shot in his next outing. To be honest, given the current landscape of the UFC and how Dana and co operate, chances are we'll be seeing Glover fighting off another top 5 contender as Blachowicz is paired up with a far more lucrative option. As UFC President Dana White himself seemingly indicated, Israel Adesanya has his eyes set on that 205-pound crown. It's a shot at dual weight world champion status that he has certainly earned, but it's one that leaves light heavyweight in something of a weird spot. Because as much as I think Jan Blachowicz's next fight will be against Israel, I can all but guarantee that Jon Jones will fight the winner of that matchup. Heavyweight is indeed an option, and another division that may well be stalled next year if he does in fact follow through with that goal. Knowing how calculated Jon is, I'd wager that he's going to sit out and wait for the seemingly inevitable clash between Adesanya and Blachowicz. Not content with this current rate of pay, Jones will see the potential for a showdown against Adesanya as a far more fruitful return, and a much less risky contest than a move into the heavyweight waters. That's not to say that Adesanya should be written off as a threat. I think quite the opposite actually, if I'm being completely honest. But that fight would contain within it the type of glitz and glamour that has completely eluded Jon during the second half of his exemplary run through the sport. That's a marquee fight, a major pay-per-view headliner, a collision of eras featuring two of the biggest stars the sport has right now. All this Twitter jabbing between Jon and Israel might seem quite redundant to some, but trust me, fighters often try to avoid committing to a fight that is not possible right now. And the non-committal vibes that seem to surround this fantasy matchup are only there because neither man is in possession of the light heavyweight belt. With Jan now defining the weight class with his Polish power, his next defense will be a pivotal one. both for his own future and for the future of the preferred next fight for every party concerned, with the exception of Blachowicz himself. The roadmap is simple. Jon remains on hiatus, teasing the possibility of a move to heavyweight, citing a contract dispute that he is, in truth, well within his rights to be complaining about. Meanwhile, the pieces begin moving. Adesanya makes his first trip into light heavyweight waters, taking on the champion for both the belt and his chance to join that exclusive group of fighters who have won titles in multiple weight classes. Then, if he is successful, Jon will have a change of heart in late 2021, returning to the division he ruled for a decade to vanquish this young and brash new challenge. That's pure cinema right there. And as much as I'm not trying to discount Blachowicz, because we absolutely shouldn't, this is without a doubt how the UFC want to have this play out. And while he won't admit it right now, this is definitely what Jon Jones would prefer. Who knows, perhaps he will move up to heavyweight at some point, but in reality, I would guess that he is positively salivating over the prospect of meeting a bona fide star like Israel Adesanya for the title. And I realize that this entire conversation is disrespectful to Blachowicz, to Glover Teixeira, and to the numerous other contenders who will likely watch on as their division is held up for close to a year. But that's the sport as we know it, and to me, it seems pretty clear that we're about to see some very interesting times at 205 pounds. How do you see the 205-pound landscape shaping up over the next year? And who do you see coming out of 2021 with the belt in their possession? Be sure to let us know in the comments section below. We really do love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to leave a like on this video before subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. And as always, thank you for watching.